Good morning, and thank you for joining me on another mini episode of Religion is Mental Illness. This is Isaac Newton, and I'm expanding on a topic I started yesterday. I did have a very engaging dialogue with a fellow intellectual speaking about this subject, and that's defining, and I don't want to call this morality. Morality has this sort of inherent ideology behind it, that we're saying that we're defining what's right and wrong. And I don't know that using the words right and wrong is necessarily the right way to go, because there are things that we experience. This is part of our conversation with this gentleman. There are things that we experience, and there are ways that we interact or communicate. And through our interaction, through our experience, we learn from that our what's right and what's wrong. But the problem with that is, if you're in an environment that's skewed, if you're in an environment that's somehow unhealthy for you, that morality, those values that you learn from your experience, and if you're, assuming your experience is abusive or, violent in some way, or somehow maybe shielded from a more realistic point of view, you're going to end up with a set of morals or values or ways of living that may not be beneficial. And right or wrong doesn't mean to you what it means to everyone else. So I want to expand on this idea of what we want to define here is, I want to say rules, but I don't want to say rules, because I don't think we don't want to create rules. We don't want to create a system in which what we do, if you do the wrong thing, you've broken the code. The goal here is to set a baseline. And by baseline, what I mean is, where do we start? Where do we start with what actions can we take? What algorithm can we use to, maybe almost like a decision matrix, to help us develop and act on our morals, values, ethics? What can we do that's going to be the best way to handle a given situation? So just saying that's big. That's not, that's not a little 5-minute conversation. We're talking about a big picture here. You go into things like Buddhism is the peaceful way. Maybe that's not going to preserve the things that are important. Buddhism, now let me be clear, Buddhism is another religion that I also don't think it's helping us. There are things that are done by Buddhist people that are benevolent and helpful and good, and those acts are done by every other religion, and religion doesn't have shit to do with it. You don't need religion to do good things, or to do things that are beneficial or helpful to your fellow man, that are going to promote our species, our existence, our planet, our future. Religion is one of these experiences that we're talking about where you're getting a skewed, a biased point of view. Not that you can ever be unbiased. Let me be clear about that. You have to be biased because you're interacting with the world, and the world presents circumstances that you can't just apply the same. You can't just apply the same rule every time. I mean, the Bible says you can't get divorced, right? So Christians aren't supposed to get divorced. Let me tell you, I spent 15 years in an abusive, destructive relationship, in a marriage for 15 years that I did not leave. I did not take the actions that I should have, that would have benefited me and would have benefited what was a family. But because I didn't believe that divorce was acceptable, I continued to fight a losing battle for 15 years. And that's, again, in that situation, it was not, I believe, beneficial. It was not helpful or productive. It would have been more beneficial and more productive to have left that relationship when before it became as destructive as it did. So this is a perfect example. We need a way to define how to live in a way that is the best way to live for everyone. So I want to get rid of some of these kind of ultimate ideals. You absolutely have to do this thing. Now, what does that do? Of course, is it creates a gray area. Maybe it creates a looser set of morals, or a looser. I hate using this word morals, and I need to find a better construct. We're defining a way of life, or defining a decision. I'm going to keep calling it a decision matrix. We're defining a decision matrix that helps us to make intelligent decisions, informed decisions, or decisions that we have gleaned from the experience and the wisdom of others. And I had a couple of people respond yesterday. I would love more people to respond today. I would love to. I want to build a community. I'm not the greatest at my social media. I feel like if I try to friend everybody, it's spammy, it's annoying. But I also I want to create a dialogue with our the atheist ideals, with the people that want to join this movement. And I know that, again, it sounds sort of superficial. It's a movement. And I don't believe that atheism is a movement. Honestly, I saw a study that showed that people of religion versus the intellectual capacity of a person of faith has been shown statistically to be less than that of a person without faith. So an atheist, statistically, by this study, and there may have been biases, and this may not be the ultimate answer to all things, but statistically, atheists are generally more intelligent than religious people, and I will do a little more research and try to get back to you on that. But this is, these are findings that kind of demonstrate what I'm saying is when you build a structure around yourself out of bullshit, you end up with more bullshit. So let's get back to this. Let's get back to the more important part of this conversation. We're talking about building a decision matrix, a way to make choices or to think and act that is going to provide the most positive results. It's going to have the best benefit to everyone. And I'm suggesting a scientific approach. I am a scientist. I'm an engineer, so I do have a science background, and I prefer that. Obviously, if you're an atheist, generally speaking, our tools, our toolbox for debate is science and reason and logic. So it stands to reason that those are the same tools that we want to use to develop our way of life in a way that will benefit everyone. So let's think about this. I'm gonna start actually building some visuals for this. I want to add some things to this discussion that will help us interact. And if you think I'm a crazy asshole, or if you think this is fucking stupid, let me know. I'm gonna try not to respond in kind per se. I'm not necessarily trying to start a fight or create some sort of aggressive anti-whatever relationship. What I want to do here is I want to work together. We are a community, right? We're an atheist. We're more than atheism. This is not just atheism. This is, I believe, a way of defining and bringing about positive change in a way that by really approaching it intelligently and approaching it from a perspective of problem solving and discussion, and I suppose somewhat democratic, but also fully democratic, but democratic without stupidity. Hard to do with humans, but we're going to try. I'm going to try. So let me know what you think, please. Tell me what you think about this. Give me ideas. Tell me, if you've read some philosophy. I'm not a strong reader, so people throw out a lot of philosophical points of view that come from the books they've read, and like I'm a scientist. I'm not a philosopher. I'm not an English major. I'm a logical guy. If you want to talk about thermodynamics, or you want to talk about the physics or things like that, I'm your guy. If you want to talk about the philosophy, give a name, give a description, and we can start a dialogue to try and hone our reasoning process for this decision matrix, this way of living that will go beyond just me. And I might struggle. I might have issues. I might think what you think is silly. And I apologize ahead of time if I'm an asshole. I can be an asshole. That's why I started a website called Religion is Mental Illness, because I think religious people are fucking crazy. But let's give this a shot. Let's make this happen. And let me say, if you are religious and you want to jump in on this, I know atheism can be hostile, and I'm going to tell you what I think, but I will make an effort to be respectful of what you believe as long as you do the same for me. But I'm not going to have a huge debate on who's right and who's wrong. I'm right, guys. There's no God. There's no evidence of God. There's nothing to prove it. People saying that they've seen this or that doesn't fucking do anything. You cannot go into a laboratory and prove that there's a God. If you think your mathematical model is the perfect proof, go ahead and develop a way to prove it. Because you can do the math, but that doesn't mean it's true. More so until you can pray and call on, fire and brimstone or whatever. It's bullshit. Anyway, I'm going to go. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to think about this. I hope that there's some response. This, again, is Isaac Newton, and this has been another mini episode of Religion is Mental Illness. Thank you, and have a great day.